Okay, so the question of the day is cognitive behavioral therapy effective against panic attacks? And the short answer is yes. In fact, my experience with it has been remarkable, extremely, extremely effective. But you really don't have to take my word for it. There are countless studies that show that CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is probably the most effective treatment for chronic panic attacks and anxiety issues, even more so than medication and with much longer lasting effects. Now, the difference between cognitive behavioral therapy and other forms of therapy is that CBT really just focuses on fixing your behavior. That is your habits, the way that the way that the pathway that your panic attacks follow, as opposed to trying to analyze how this condition developed and getting to the root problem that might have caused it 20 years ago. Now, I'm sure that to some degree, it's very important to have a good idea of what caused your anxiety condition. But at the end of the day, isn't what you really want simply to break the habit? That's exactly what chronic panic attacks are: a bad habit, an unwanted learned behavior that you picked up somewhere along the way. The good news is that if it's learned, it can be unlearned as well. A panic attack, a panic attack may start out of the blue with a sudden spike of adrenaline. This is usually followed by a nervous thought or two. At this point, your mind will usually start wandering to places we don't want it to go, thinking about all the horrible things that might have caused you to get the sensation, or maybe you're thinking about all the terrible things that might happen to you. These thoughts result in more adrenaline and more bad thoughts. It's a nasty cycle, and a habit that becomes reinforced the more often it repeats itself. A simple and effective CBT technique that worked brilliantly for me was at the beginning of an attack, I'd visualize a stop sign, a great big red stop sign. Maybe I'd even whisper to myself, stop. But you have to do it with some conviction. Stop. If I was alone, I'd say it loudly. If I were in public, maybe I'd just say it in my head or mumble it under my breath. But the idea was to not wrestle with your anxiety, but rather to control the direction it takes you. You want to grab the wheel and steer the car in the direction you want to go. Create a new, more constructive habit out of the old one. Even if you don't succeed at first, by simply interrupting the pattern and delaying the anxiety, you're making progress each time. And each time you do so, you're becoming stronger and you're taking charge over your anxiety issues instead of the other way around. Now, I put together a video with very clear step-by-step instructions on how to break the habit of chronic panic attacks. You can find it on my site, livepanicfree.com. Also, I try to answer at least one question a day on this video blog on YouTube or on my site. So feel free to leave a question in the comment section below, or to shoot me an email from my website. As always, good luck, and given time, everything will work itself out.